and there's nothing better than being a chiropractor. I can't think of anything that would even compare to being a chiropractor. I mean, you could be a rock star, or you could be a movie star or whatever, but I still don't think that reciprocation of love that you get from being with patients and your people is going to be at the same level.
Well, hello, everybody. Dr. Ron Oberstein, president of Life Chiropractic College West, and welcome to another edition of our Life West Leadership Line. Today, I have someone that really needs no introduction. You can just probably see, it's a gentleman who's sitting with BJ Palmer right behind him, over him, looking at him, just like that. Today, we have the one and only Billy DeMoss. I'll give you a brief history because most of you should know who Billy is. Billy is an 85 graduate from Los Angeles College of Chiropractic. He's been in the Costa Mesa, Newport Beach area since he graduated. Been practicing. He's in his 37th year, still in the trenches, still, adjusting every day or whatever days he's working in his office, and still delivering the message and loving chiropractic. He's been involved in a lot of things in the state of California throughout his 37 years, from whether it's political to philosophy meetings to things like that. You might know him as the founder of CalJam, a phenomenal event that takes place every year. And that's now going on, I think, 14 years of CalJam and just bringing chiropractic, rock and roll, and good philosophy and good speakers to California, so people from all over the world can fly in. And he's just doing amazing things. But most of all, he's an amazing person. And a lot of you maybe haven't got to know Billy, of like who he is in his heart, which we'll be able to touch into today. And he's got a lot of wisdom within him that we'll be able to get a bunch of pearls dropped on us as we move forward. So, Billy, thank you, man. Thanks for being with us today on the leadership line. It's great to have you.
It's truly an honor, Ron. And I just want to say how much I love and appreciate you as well.
Well, I appreciate it.
That was a great introduction, by the way. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hey, it's better that than a what is it, at a funeral, He lived a beautiful life. It's just times I feel like people are doing eulogies when they introduce me, right?
You could tell it came from the heart.
Well, listen, I could have. That's the only way I know how to speak. So, but let's jump into it, man, because I want to just kind of talk about. I think a good starting point is this. I mean, listen, I've been 43 years, 42 years. You're 37. We're not that far apart. We have a long history. Going back when I was in San Diego and you were in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach. Let's just talk about the profession. First of all, you're still practicing 37 years. I think that says a lot, and share about that.
I just posted about that 2 days ago, that I'm so blessed to be a chiropractor. I'm so blessed to be chosen by God to be a chiropractor. And I mean, I literally, I have an amazing life, and it's just a balance thing for me. I mean, I'll surf during the day and then I'll come to the office and hang out with my peeps. And I just love the family I have here. I mean, it's like I'm going to a party every day because it's a celebration of life, and you give people their lives back. I mean, it's hard to describe to people that don't do it. I mean, a lot of chiropractors obviously feel what I feel, but I can never see myself retiring because I enjoy it and love it so much. And I love being around the kids, and not all of them, but most of the kids are great. Some of them are, problem children. That's what we're working on that. I think it has a lot to do with sugar. But it's just an amazing, there's nothing better than being a chiropractor. I can't think of anything that would even compare to being a chiropractor. I mean, you could be a rock star, or you could be a movie star or whatever, but I still don't think that reciprocation of love that you get from being with patients and your people is going to be at the same level that we get, because you really literally, you change people's lives, and you change the way they think, and you get them in new directions, and you get them to experience a life at their innate potential, which they were never living before because they were subluxated and they had nerve interference and they've eaten crap and all the things that people do to contribute to disease in their bodies. So it's just I love it. I
right. And the cool thing is too, is that I think one of the biggest blessings we have is to be able to educate people about innate intelligence. And I'm not saying that we have to say the word innate intelligence, but educate them that there is an intelligence within them that is running their body, whether they choose to believe it or not. If they drink poison, it's going to affect their body. And if they put healthy things, if you have nerve interference, it's going to affect the body. And when you remove nerve interference, that we don't do the healing. And that's such a beautiful message, clean and pure,
And that's one of my favorite things about practice. I just give my orientation Tuesday. I do it every other Tuesday. And then I'm intermingle nutrition and detoxification and EMF workshop, all the workshops that I do. That things that interest me. I'm doing a big cancer workshop coming up. And again, I don't teach people this is a treatment for cancer. I try to teach people things that they can do to prevent it by working with that innate intelligence and to get them expressed at a higher level. And innate, you can say innate now. I was kind of concerned about, because when I was going to school, innate was one of those things. So I was like, you can talk about that because it was one of those fictitious things. But you hear guys like, everybody says innate now.
It's very true. Yeah, they go innately. I was led to the boat, that kind of, and I started sailing. It's very true. And yet, it's so cool that people have the opportunity. You were with us. I want to say it was in 90 something. I can't remember the exact year when we had Herbert Ross Reaver in Costa Mesa. Remember that?
Yeah, I sure do. It was Reaver. It was probably Fred Barge because I actually rolled sushi at that party too. I came up to the big party they had upstairs. It was at the Red Lion, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I actually made T-shirts up for that I still see some people wearing. I mean, who else was there? It was Jimmy.
Your band, Grasson was there. Sigapus was there. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Jerry Klum. Tons of people were there. And probably the most, and Billy, your band played that night at the after party.
Yeah, we were horrible. But
well, I thought you were great. I thought you were great. You're just much better now. However you want to look at it, it's all relative. But I will tell you this: the thing that hit me the most profound words that came out of Dr. Reaver's mouth that night was just a very simple sentence. Somebody asked him. We had 2 microphones lined up in the back. People were lined up to ask questions, if you remember that, and someone said to him, how'd you start a practice? How did you do it? And he just said, when I graduated school, I was just so excited to tell the world about innate intelligence. Mm-hmm. And it was like, boom, dude, it's what it is. I mean, it's not about the 7 or 12, or maybe there's 50 danger signals. I don't know. Maybe the danger signals go up every time they add a new vaccine. I'm not sure, but it's like, it's so simple. Just tell them where the power comes from and tell them that there's an intelligence within, it's like, and I love that, that you stay so pure to the message,
Well, Ron, as obviously, that I came out of a school that didn't really promote that philosophy at all. And I had to get it outside of, like, I've got a new intern that's working with me now, and he's going to obviously the college down here. He was going to Iowa, but I think he decided to move back out here for whatever reason. But I remember early on, we would go surf in Baja Malibu in Mexico, and then we would come back. We'd always schedule to come back to your office. And I learned from people like you and the people I had at DE Barge, Ian Grosson, Jimmy Gregg, Sotilli, all these people really transitioned me from this metapractor that I was into, somebody that understood the philosophy. And the philosophy is so beautiful, so pure. And it's like, I don't need science to back up what as far as the philosophy is concerned. It's all common sense, man. If you live congruent to your genes, you're going to have better health. And if you're eating crap and not living congruent, you're going to have disease and dysfunction in the body. And, that's how I teach my patients. There's no questions about, if you drop a ball or Sid Williams would do, he dropped the keys. It's going to fall every time. I don't need science to prove that's not going to happen every time. And it's the same thing with chiropractic. It's like you remove the nerve interference and the body's going to express at a higher level. I'm not trying to cure your sinus problems, your headaches. What I'm doing is I'm moving the bones, the body's going to heal itself. Because the body, as we know, is a self-healing organism. If you cut yourself, that cut's going to heal. You don't have to think about it or do a science project on it to figure out what's going to happen. It's done innately. And that's just the way it works. And it's that when you communicate to patients on that level, they get it, man. They get it. And I get them to understand you don't get sick from germs. You get sick because you have you're immune compromised, and everything that we can do to raise up your immune system by raising your innate potential, by removing nerve interference and doing all the other things that I teach people. I can call the mixer a lot because I think it's important to eat right and exercise and detox and sleep and all the things that I think are important to contribute to a higher innate expression. It's just all friggin' common sense, it's basic.
Yeah, it is. So let's do this. I'm going to name drop. What I want to do is let's play a name association game, right? I'm going to say a chiropractor who probably was formative in your years, we're going to go back to some of the names that you mentioned and just take 15 to 20 seconds, which would probably for you would be 30 to 45, but that's okay. Same thing with me.
Don't just pin it on me. Fuck just as much as I.
But just give me a couple sentences on how they impacted you. Okay. So let's start with Sid Williams.
Sid Williams was a leader, a huge leader. He wasn't my favorite at DE, but I was really impressed by the fact that he had put that together. And DE was probably the biggest influence in changing me from that metapractor to a chiropractor. And it was Sid and the whole movement of DE, and also Fred Schofield, which I'll put him in there because I think he needs credit because he's really helped me feel comfortable in my own skin and be who I am. Yeah. Which because he was that way, and that's what transitioned to. So
I love it. I was just with Fred a couple weeks ago. Still same thing, man. In the trenches, rocking and rolling, doing his thing, and just great. All right, another name, Ian Grossom.
Ian Grossom was. What was that statement he always used to yell from the stage?
At the end of his talk, he would always say, "Free at last, free at last,
free at last, free at last." He was
just God Almighty, I'm free at last.
I mean, it was just like those were true. That was just such an amazing time to be going to seminars and stuff because those people just really just took me. I used to come home from DE and listen to guys like Ian, and I would be so motivated. I would go, the only thing that would take me to the next level was if they had AC/DC playing on. That's what gave me the idea to do Cal Jam, is layer all that information and that energy and put music on it to take it to the next level. But Ian was he was so articulate and he was funny. And it was just, I would sit in the front row and just absorb that stuff from these guys, and, it was just, he would talk about how he drove the Volkswagen van around and wore the hippie clothes and, how they just went and rock and rolled and they had these amazing practices and they were so flamboyant at the same time, but just so on purpose with just philosophy and just he was a love bug. I mean, it's just hard, it's just kind of sad, when these guys pass away because it's just like part of our lineage back to our,
Right. Well, we're going to flash these names underneath so that people can go. If you haven't heard Ian or haven't heard Dr. Sid or the other names I'm going to throw out right now, just go YouTube.
Just real quick. Where do we get old tapes of that stuff? Because I would love to listen to those recordings. I made tapes back in the day. A few, like I have Ian tapes, but I would love to get more of that.
I'll tell you what I have, and I'll tell you what they're doing right now at the college. I went through my storage unit and I dug out a ton of stuff. I've got the 1995 double cassette book with 12 tapes in it, whatever it is, from the centennial, right?
Oh, wow.
I've got Ian, I've got all these other people. So they're taking them right now and they're digitizing them. And so I've got work studies at the college doing that. They're digitizing them, and I'll get them out. I'm gonna because they're just gonna be. We're gonna put them on the Life West site and just have an air where anybody can go and listen to them. So we'll put it out and let people know. But you talk about Ian and we talk about Sid, and then you got to bring in Jim Sigafus. So how Jim Sigafus touch you?
Jim Sigafus was another of those guys that was just definitely himself. I mean, he didn't worry about what people thought. And that was really kind of transitional for me too, because when I got out of school, I thought I had to be the white coat, professional doctor and check your blood pressure, and it was just hearing those guys that talking about throwing their freaking ultrasound unit down the steps and taking off the chains of all just being a metapractor. And, I hung out with those guys a lot. I mean, because I was John Babbitt, who was a big influence for me as well. As one of my good friends. He's the one that dragged me to D, but he was good friends with the Sigafus. So we go hang out with the family and hang out with Jim Sigafus and his wife. And it was just, he was crazy, and again, that gave it made it okay for me to be a little crazy, and, you got to be a little bit crazy if your goal is to change the world, and it's just when you're going against the grain of everything everybody's been brainwashed to believe, which is coming. People are starting to see the light and all that stuff now, which is
absolutely,
great.
Absolutely. What you said, the word that you said was freedom. And that's what, Ian said, of course, free at last. That's the old Martin Luther King, line, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. But it really is about being free, isn't it? Success is about being free. You look at a guy like Elon Musk, you look at all these people, love him, hate him, it doesn't matter. If you look at the same traits, they are true to themselves, right?
Right.
And that's really what it's about. And that's what is about inside out living, or, living innately, right? It's truly just being free, but I think that people have to understand something too, because, they can see you at Cal Jam and you can come out with different wigs on and different outfits for the performances that you do and things like that. I know. Yeah. Same barber. We've been going to the same barber for many years, right? Just,
we have such good looking heads, bro.
I got it. But what people might not know is what you look like in practice.
Right.
Share that.
I wear a tie every day, dude. I wear tailored clothes. I'm into looking good because my dad taught me that. God bless my dad. I love him, dude. I'm going to cheer up a little bit. I got to call him after I get done with the call. You got to be better dressed than your best dressed client. He taught me that a lot. He used to wear a suit to work every day. And I totally respected that, and, you see, I'm not trying to be negative or anything, but I see just people going to work in torn up jeans and t-shirts, and that's fine if that makes them feel good. But I think chiropractic needs a little bit more respect than that. And that's just my opinion. I'm friggin', I almost dropped an F-bomb. I'm friggin' old school. I have old school traits. I like people answering my phones, and I like, I just think it's important to be representative and be professional. And to me, you don't have to wear a tie. I get it, but I like ties. In fact, I was talking to one of my patients. I like a nice friggin' tailored suit. I like to look badass, you know what I'm saying? And it's, look good. Everything else contributes. You got to take care of the body, and you got to be high energy, and you got to walk your talk, man.
Absolutely.
You got to be who you are. Chiropractics we're professionals. We're at the highest level and respected, and that's just, people probably pissed that I said that, but I am who I am.
It's okay. Hey, listen, I teach 2 individual classes, not courses, but I go in in one class in chiropractic history, and I do another one in chiropractic professionalism. And so I teach this thing on professionalism, the seven signs of professionalism, right? And one is, presentable. How do you present yourself, right? And like you said, old school, right? You only have one chance to make a first impression. You should always be better dressed than your best dressed client, right? And that's cool. And then there's, my daughters wear blue jeans because that's just where they're at, right? And they do really well and doing what they're doing. Right. So whatever works for somebody. But one of the things that I tell the class is this, and back in 1983, 83, I was in Boston, Massachusetts practicing, and I was still wearing the clothes that I graduated with, at the end of 81, when I left Life College in Marietta, Georgia, there was, $2 pants, 50-cent shirt, and a 25-cent tie. And I'm still wearing this stuff. And Guy Reekman calls me up and says, "Hey, man, I want you to go do this seminar." I go, "What's the seminar?" He said, "Robert Ponte, Dress for Success." And I'm looking like, "You see a camera? You think I'm not dressed?" He goes, No. He goes, "I just did it. I just want you to go." He goes, "If you don't like it, I'm going to pay for it, right? Because it's unbelievable." I just thought that you'd really like it. I go, "Okay." So he was coming about a month later, went to the seminar, and it was incredible. I got ripped apart royally, which was good, lovingly, and I left that seminar going, I have nothing to wear. And Reekman calls me up on that Sunday night and says, "How was it?" And I go, "You little, whatever." I said, "I can't even go to my office tomorrow. I can't put those old clothes on." after what I learned this time. So he said, well, you got to go buy new clothes. I go, yeah, well, what do I do? And he goes, well, why don't you fly out here? He was living in Beverly Hills at the time. I flew out. I said, what should I take? What do I need to bring with me? He said, just bring about, I don't know, $7,000, and we'll buy some clothes. And I'm going. So I go to the bank and I take out $7,000 and I fly over there the next week.
A lot of money back then.
Yeah, but I flew over there and I'm thinking, Billy, I'm going to come back with the Queen of Sheba, people walking with poles and having trunks of clothing and that stuff. The first store we went into was in Beverly Hills on Rodeo Drive, Brioni store, $995 for a blue cashmere blazer. And I went, holy crap, this money's going to go really, really quick, the vision of what I was coming back with. But anyways, the moral of the story, what I tell them is that when I came back to my practice, my volume didn't change, but my collections went up. A minimum of $6,000 a month, a minimum.
Yeah, I'm in
Volume didn't change.
That's the whole thing. I don't want to look like a friggin'. People come in and the office is tight. Everything looks good in the office. My office is a tabernacle of freaking chiropractic. Let me interject too. I'm kind of a wild 8-ball, so I kind of put the clothes on to kind of like tone that down a little bit. I mean, if I was wearing wigs in the office, running around playing AC/DC, that would probably be more my style. But I kind of do that to kind of like just bring the energy back into where it should be and be more respectable.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. And I'm going to throw out one more name for you.
You got to throw out the most important influence. But go ahead.
You tell me.
Fred Barge.
Fred Barge. That was going to be my name anyway. So how did Fred affect you?
Fred was amazing. I mean, we used to hang out with him. I actually went to a seminar down in La Jolla that he put on a long time ago. And it was like, we showed up, me, John Babick, Fred DiDomenico. We were huge Fred Barge fans. And it was a scoliosis seminar he was teaching. And then he took us in the back and adjusted us. And he goes, the reason chiropractors don't get the miracles that we used to get is because they have Wumpy technique. And then he just set you, and he called it through the floor technique. And you would literally see stars. And it was like you just like got reconnected to the universe, And another thing is, he was very against exercise, which I didn't understand. He's just like, men were meant to exercise. They were born with hooves,
That was running. It was running.
All those curls, and then we would at night we would drink tequila out of snifters. He goes, let me show you how to drink tequila. You put tequila in a snifter. He was just he's another character. He dressed up. He was one of those guys that really influenced me as far as dressing up. He always was dressed to the friggin' nines with his ascot ties, and he was just always. And then he would get up and speak at DE, and it was like I would sit in the front row like I was at a Black Sabbath concert. Man, I was just like so enthralled with him, and he would just articulate, and he was just this oracle of just. He was an amazing speaker. He spoke with that friggin' Shakespearean kind of like Wisconsin drawl that he had. That it was just like I was just mesmerized. I was just like, and the way he just communicated the chiropractic philosophy was like nobody ever did. He was my biggest flip. He was the reason I went to DE. I read all his books, whether it was Life Without Fear, One Cure, One Cause, One Cure. I'm having a hard time because then I'm thinking of the other books, Are You the Doctor? He had a book on scoliosis. He had a book on torticollis. He had a book on tortipelvis. And I mean, that's how my technique is. I mark x-rays the same way he did. I do pre and post x-rays like he did. And I think that those books should be imperative that all students read because it gets back to the roots of chiropractic. He was by far him and both the Freds were my biggest influence, Fred Barge and Fred Schofield.
So I'll tell you
something. And you too. You had a huge influence
as we.
No, but seriously, you did. We'd love coming to your office, and it was me
and
the share.
It was a good excuse to go surfing down in Mexico because we had
it was just coincidence. It was synchronicity.
Yeah, right.
Same time we came back.
The first Thursday of every month, that was the philosophy meetings at my office. Remember, they'd be lined up out in the deck and out the porch and, down the hallways. Yeah. It'd be like 60, 70 chiropractors in there. Those were fun days.
Yeah, it was Dr. Melendez was there. The Sheridans were there. Who else was there that I mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
God, tons of people. I mean, tons.
Yeah, me and Tommy would come up there. My brother Tom.
Yep.
That was early on.
Yep.
What year was that? That had to
Oh
be
God, that started in like the early 90s, like or late 80s. I think we started in 89 and then it went, it continued on until for many, many, many years. I mean, it was just going.
Then I started DCS kind of emulating what you were doing down there here. And we're still, and I've opened DCS up to the general public now because chiropractors, I couldn't get more than 20 or 30 chiropractors. Like, oh shit, I'll just invite my patients, and they loved it. And now I'm doing gigs with 800 people, general public here in Huntington Beach every other month now.
It's beautiful. And that's how it has to go. I mean, listen, you've got a lot of badges of honor, being knocked off of different social media sites and being put on the most wanted list and, yada, yada. Yeah, it really goes back to when you tell the truth.
Yeah.
People have a hard time with the truth. And it's just if they didn't have a hard time with the truth, they just let it be, and so, when, BJ used to say that, they'll talk anyways. Right. And when they are talking about you, doesn't matter if they're saying good or bad, it's like, they're talking about you and your message is getting out. And that's kind of how it works. I'll just share with you one thing about Fred Barge and to our audience also, because, if you've ever heard Fred speak, like Billy just said, this, Shakespearean, Wisconsin fledgling chiropractors, that kind of thing. His greatest love. I have a letter in my office from him, and Fred and I were close. At one point, he called me up and said, "Ron, would you be my vice president? I'm thinking about running for president of the ICA." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yes, I want you." We talk all the time. He never flew. I don't know if you knew that. Never got on an airplane. If he had to come out to California, go wherever, he drove. Had a station wagon, drove out. He just had a fear of flying. But Fred's greatest, this is what he wrote to me. The greatest 6 months of his life were when he was sitting as the interim president of Life West. Jerry Clum had surgery. He needed to get some knee surgery, hip surgery, whatever it was.
I remember that. I remember.
Yeah. And he just said his life was about educating. Great adjuster. His father made him work with BJ in BJ's clinic before he came back to Wisconsin to work in the family practice, right? Yep. Made him do that. He's a strong Gonstead practitioner, but he was an educator and that's all he wanted to do was educate, just wonderful man. Oh man. Hey, let's talk about a few things before we end, because we're kind of hitting that.
Let me tell one other story. Let me tell you one other story about Fred Barge.
Okay.
I had him come speak at a DCS. This is when we had the old warehouse in Costa Mesa, which was just it was an industrial warehouse. We decorated it with, like right now I got Gonstead here. I got Fred Barge there, BJ Palmer there, Dee Palmer over here. Henry Barge is on the door here because he was influenced Fred. But he came and spoke at a DCS and it was just raining, just like cats and dogs, torrential rain. And the building had a metal roof on it. And we had like 100 guys packed in this room. We smoked cigars in there. And I went up to Fred and go, "Can I get you anything to drink?" And he goes, no, I never have a drink before I speak. And then he's looking around the room and everybody's popping champagne. This is back when I used to party. I don't do that anymore. And then Fred goes, "Billy, bring me up a Corona." So I brought him up a Corona. I go, "Can I get you anything to, do you want a cigar or anything?" He goes, no, I'm fine. And then he goes, "Billy, bring me up one of those Macanudo ascots," because I knew what he liked to smoke. So he's up in front doing friggin' chiropractic flossing. And I have a tape of it somewhere. And if I ever find that thing, that would be friggin' gold. And he's smoking a cigar, drinking a beer, and just going off on this esoterical chiropractic philosophy. And it's just like mind-bending, mind-melting, it was just such a cool night. And then he reminded me of that incident. Is he wrote me a letter that he just loved the experience of being there. He loved how the room was decorated with black lights and everything. And it's just another one of those things that it's hard to explain what happened that night on a quantum level to people if you weren't there. Yeah. It's like trying to describe a rock concert, going to U2 concert, whatever, Tom Petty concert. you know, but it was just an amazing night. He was very grateful. He did the same letters. Yeah.
And he always wrote letters. I mean, those guys in those days, you know, now it's so easy to send a text or you do an email, but
I write letters. I still send cards. I do it. Old school.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think you said something that was real key just now. You know, it's so easy to get a CD of a band and listen to it all the time and go, I don't need to go see them in concert because, you know, I've got the CD. I can listen to whatever I want to. Well, dude, when you see a band in concert, it's the experience you're going for. You're going to rejuvenate your cells, you know, like on an atomic level, not going to hear the song. You know, and it's just like, you know, it's the same thing. Like, you know, we just don't have as many speakers. People would rather just be at home and be going on Zoom or doing whatever instead of like going to a place and boom, just being in it and walking out with a change, you know, physically happens to their body. Exactly it. Hey, bro, we got to end.
He talks about that all the time. Dispenza's, he measured the energy in the room. It's like all your molecules of all these people and atoms and everything raises the vibration of the entire room to an exponential level. When you're by yourself, you're not getting that experience. You're not bathing yourself in that energy that's created by every single atom that's in that room from every person that's in that room. You know what I'm saying?
It's so true. So true. And, you know, listen, I want to bring up one last thing. And I know that you know, we talked before you got on. We just finished the Wave Up a few weeks ago, and it was just a smashing success at the college, and oversold it, and, you know, had to move people out, students out, so we could fit docs in. And, you know, it was phenomenal. Talk about energy raising, but talk about Cal Jam. Because Cal Jam, is there going to be a Cal Jam coming up in 2023?
Yeah, I'm working on next year. I mean, the little things I'm doing in Huntington Beach are like warm-ups for what we're doing. I mean, we're getting the music down, and I'm putting together a roster of speakers. And the problem is finding a venue. And as you know, with the volatility, what's going on in the world, it's like, and we talked about this before we started, it's just like, you don't know when they're going to pull the rug from under our feet. I mean, you can put this whole program together, and it's like a year production putting everything together, especially with CalJam, the videos and background videos and the music and the speakers and the vendors and the sponsors. And, you know, people think you're making all this money. And again, by the time you're done, you're just like, you're lucky if you can wring out a few cents out of it, you know, because the cost is like renting a room is not cheap. Production's not cheap. It's just, we got to promote it. So it's just like, you do it for the love of changing the friggin' planet is why we do this shit, you know? And, I just need to find a venue, and we're going to probably have to do what a lot of people have done, have gone out of state, you know, like Paul Reed's gigs in Idaho. Now you got to go to a red state because obviously people in blue states have weaker immune systems and they succumb to the diseases a lot easier than people in red states.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I think it is. I think people that, you know, are a little more conservative have stronger immune systems than people that run around wearing freaking masks and shit like that. But we don't want to.
You let me know. You let me know. We'll get it out. We'll make sure that our viewers get to hear about it. And, you know, when you get a date, and we'll definitely put it out. And Billy, I just want to say thank you, man. You know, still in the trenches.
No, thank you.
Well, thank us both. All right. And God bless us both. Right.
Yeah.
I'm just proud of all the things you've done, and you know, from humble beginnings, coming from Omaha, Nebraska, you know, all the way out to LA, and now in Newport Beach, and doing the
things. Not LA.
Well, LACC, Whittier, wherever the hell you were. You know.
Oh yeah. I thought I lived in LA.
No, Whittier. But you know, it's just so cool to see, and I know that you inspire a lot of chiropractors and students, and just keep doing it, man, because you know what? They have to have that old school stuff going on. I know I'm not going to stop, but and I know you won't either. You'll outlast me. So just keep moving forward, doing what you're doing. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in. We drop these life leadership lines every other week. The opposite weeks, we have our Life by Life West that we put out. Thank you. And we have so many viewers who are seeing this, and keep spreading the word. Please, I can guarantee you there are 10 people in your environment that would love to hear what Billy talked about today. And just spread it, man. Send the link, you know, let them hear Billy, let them hear what we're doing. And I appreciate you for all that you're doing for chiropractic and for the health of humanity. So keep doing what you're doing and keep moving on. Billy, thanks again. And peace and love to all of you out there. We'll see you in another couple of weeks. Bye-bye.